Hey guys, welcome to the call. I'm waiting for Stefan to hop on. Looks like he's here. Stefan, you want to unmute yourself?
Yep.
Cool, man. Can you, Stefan, can you start talking? See if it takes over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great.
Cool. All right, guys, so let's get started. So what we're talking about today is what's working right now on Facebook, and specifically kind of these watered down sales pages that seem to be doing really well in a number of different niches all over Facebook. So kind of the goal of today's call is Steph and I are going to share 5 different examples of these with you. We're going to dig into each one, kind of talk about why we think it's working, and kind of what you can do to model that type of sales page on your own offers, or if you're writing copy for clients, whatever's going on. This is kind of a big shift from the way things were working on Facebook for a long time. So it's kind of cool to see this kind of new format that's working really well. Before we jump in, Stefan and I are going to do a quick introduction of each other. Neither of us are good at introducing ourselves. We tend to downplay our accomplishments. So we're each going to introduce each other. So I will start with Stefan. So if you don't know Stefan, he is my business partner in a program that we run called Copy Accelerator. I consider Stefan to be the best copywriter in the world right now. I say he is neck and neck with Craig Clemens. I tend to judge copywriters on whether or not how they do writing offers on cold traffic. If you write a lot of winners on cold traffic, that proves more than anything that you are a badass copywriter. I believe Stefan is probably the best in the world at that right now. Not only is he kicking ass now, he used to write when he first started writing for a company called Lions Publishing back in the day. It was about, 2014 or so, 15?
Yeah, 14, 15.
Yeah, so one of the funniest things I found about that was, so at one time, Stefan owned like 8 out of the 10 top offers on ClickBank. If you literally like looked at, he didn't own them, but he wrote them. But if you like looked at the whole like leaderboard on ClickBank, like 8 out of the top 10, he had literally written the sales letter for all of these, which is insane. So he has kicked ass in info products, in physical products. He's been doing, and what's funny is he's only been doing this for a short amount of time. I would say probably though the most insane thing you have ever told me is the fact that at one time you were cranking out 6 to 11 VSLs a month, which is just stunning, beyond all belief. Even for someone who's like a really good copywriter, like most people write that in a year. Most good copywriters. So pretty epic run as a copywriter. So that would be kind of my intro to Stefan.
Well, I really appreciate that, Justin. And, it probably is good that we're introducing each other, because I'm not sure I would have said half of that, but when someone else brags for you, it's really great. So I appreciate that. Yeah, Justin, I think, most of you guys on this call are probably familiar with Justin and probably heard about this webinar we're doing today, because of Justin promoting it. But for those who don't, or if you need a reminder, Justin's really the number one funnel expert in our industry at this point. And he's a brilliant copywriter in his own right. But what's really cool is that beyond just writing winning front-end promotions, Justin also has become just a complete genius when it comes to back-end funnel conversions, optimizations, increasing average order values, really everything. The tricks, because I'm a partner with Justin in our Copy Accelerator Mastermind, I get to see a lot of these tricks that he has on the back end of funnels. And they're just things that are sometimes so obvious and yet you're not doing them, and they lead to such massive ROIs. And so, Justin, a lot of you guys know he, is behind the Patriot Health Alliance offers, which he helped to scale to $23 million in revenue and within 2 years. To this day, his control for Patriot Power Greens has brought in more than 300,000 high-end buyers, and they spend something like $200 plus on their first purchase. And Justin, I don't know if you like me saying this, but it's true. I was talking with Alan Baylor about this maybe a few months back, and we were talking about an offer to do together, and he kind of talked about Patriot Power Greens. And at first I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take that one on. This was probably, I guess, maybe 6 months ago, a year ago. It's before Justin and I really knew each other well. And then Alan went through a list of all of the people who tried to beat Justin's control and who couldn't do it. And I was like, never mind. Don't want to touch that one, because it was like a who's list of A-list copywriters who could not beat Justin's control. It's like the sword and the stone. Don't even mess with it. And so, he's a brilliant front-end copywriter as well. He, has done his live event last year, was attended by a bunch of the biggest names in marketing, Agora, Natural Health Sherpa, For Patriots, so many others. He's been featured in Forbes alongside Tim Ferriss and Lewis Howes, and basically just an absolute brilliant mind in marketing, someone that I love, that I've gotten to cultivate and build a relationship with, and really happy to be here with him today.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that. So, okay, let's jump into what we are. Here's kind of going to be the outline. The outline of what we're going to go over. So we're going to go over 5 different examples here. If you have questions along the way, please type them in the chat, and Stefan and I will answer the questions. Don't unmute yourself and start talking, because there's 150 people on here and that'll just turn into mayhem. So if you have questions about anything, please type it in the chat. Steph and I will break it down. Our goal is to show you real live examples of what's working on Facebook, specifically the kind of watered down direct response copy that's really working well right now on Facebook. All right, you want to kick it off with the GS85? Actually, let's kind of set the stage too for people who aren't fully aware. Facebook, about at least a year ago, really started cracking down on your standard VSL, your standard hard-hitting copy. So a lot of people would write a VSL, guys like me and Stefan, and we'd promote it with affiliates. We'd promote it through email traffic, native, Facebook. And that same kind of VSL worked everywhere. That is no longer the case whatsoever. So Facebook has really cracked down on, even if your copy is legally compliant, they don't like a 45-minute video sales letter. They don't like you digging into people's emotions and making them feel bad. They don't like you. What else don't they like? They don't like a lot of things that work in direct response. let's put it that way. So a lot of the smart marketers have tried to figure out, okay, what actually does work? What is Facebook okay with? And what a lot of people have landed on is this what I call watered down direct response. So it's not as hard hitting. It doesn't dig a little knife into people's pain points and emotions like a lot of copy does. But the kind of end result is it's working, specifically on Facebook. And the reality is that's all that really matters. Like, as long as the offer can work on Facebook and you can scale it up, a lot of these offers we're going to talk about are doing 100, 200, 500 sales a day. That's pretty serious volume just from one traffic source. So anything else you want to add, Stefan?
No, I think that sets the stage pretty well. I guess maybe the one thing would be, as we get into this watered down copy and some of these examples, like, I love writing hard hitting, emotional, aggressive, crazy sales copy. So, and, going back to the 8 out of 10 offers on ClickBank back in the day, I mean, those offers ultimately got thrown off ClickBank and went onto software projects because they were pretty aggressive. So I love that copy, but I think an important thing is that, going back to why we're doing this is you do need to kind of change with the times, and especially for, Facebook and other kind of traffic sources there. So, just, I guess the point is, like, you need to be open and be adaptable. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today.
Cool. Well, I'll let you take the lead and lead off with your GS85 supplement offer. I'll have you break it down, and then I'll probably ping in and kind of ask some questions that I'm thinking and then other people might be thinking.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. All right, I don't know if you guys can all see it.
Yep.
All right, awesome. So what you're going to kind of notice right away is that I have actually 4 tabs open that all say GS85, and you're going to see why in a moment. And it's also going to go back to the point of having different funnels for different traffic sources, and how the days of just writing one VSL, throwing it up, and becoming a millionaire are kind of over. So the first version we have here is the original sales letter that we had for this offer, and GS85 is a blood sugar supplement. And we wrote it pretty out of the gate on this one. We were, wanting to be able to run it in more traffic sources, lower risk of compliance, all of those sorts of things. And so in the first one, initially, I'm not going to go through the entire sales letter here, but I'm going to point out some differences as we go here. So, for example, in this initial one, if you do a search for like high blood sugar, let's say, you'll see high blood sugar is mentioned 14 times. Turns out, can't really talk about high blood sugar because that's, a symptom of diabetes. And so what we did between this and then version 2, which is right here, which is new.nucendixnutrition.com, there's several things we did. One of them was language related, to where we started using the term or phrase erratic blood sugar throughout. So if you search for like high blood sugar on this one, you'll see high notes, but you won't see high blood sugar, basically. If you search for erratic, you'll see erratic now shows up 18 times. So part of it was understanding from a health perspective, what language can you use? And so the rationale there is basically, erratic blood sugar is not a disease. It's not even necessarily a symptom of diabetes. Erratic blood sugar can just happen anytime. Your blood sugar readings may fluctuate. And so we kind of realized that this phrase was a lot safer. How did we realize that? One of the things we did, and I did talk about this during the Mastermind that we did at Traffic Conversion, is I looked at FDA kind of warning letters. I looked at the FDA's website. I looked at other places to see what language specifically did they not want people using. And it came down to high blood sugar. It came down to managing blood sugar, because again, you're managing something that sort of implies a treatment. But you can't say sustaining healthy blood sugar, and again, healthy blood sugar. And so these are sort of the initial changes we made. You'll notice this image right here, which we're going to come back to in a minute as well. On top of that, what we did is we added in a header, so there's more transparency: home, about us, product, FAQ, testimonials, contact us. And we actually even created like a hub site, which is pretty similar to like almost if for guys who have sold supplements and ever used like a bank site before, similar concept, basic kind of stuff here. Nothing really crazy, not really that well designed, but at least there's sort of a brand behind it. It's not just an offer. And so, we did these things of increased transparency. Same thing with the footer actually as well. If I can scroll down real quick and show you guys here, nice footer. And if you look at that versus, well, privacy disclaimer, the, name, phone number, email, address, all of that kind of stuff. If you go down here to the original version, you don't have any of that stuff. So the first thing was trying to increase transparency here. And I do see message stuff going in. If there are questions, I'm gonna come look in a minute, but just to kind of set the stage, because it's important to understand the context. So it was increased transparency, having the contact information, having a hub site, changing the language, all that kind of stuff. And so originally we did that, and we thought, we're in good shape. And for a while we were. And so going into traffic and conversion this year, we were running a couple hundred sales a day, anywhere from at one point 200 plus, 100 plus, whatever, just on Facebook, feeling pretty good about it. Talked about it at our traffic and conversion mastermind, and then completely jinxed myself because then Facebook got a lot more strict, and this gain approvals for not just our offer, but a lot of health offers and ads became even more like difficult. And so the traffic started going down. Now, one other thing I want to point, and then I'm going to go take a look and see if there's questions in the chat. Is this version right now, the new.nucenixnutrition.com, the one that's got the header and the hub site and the improved language and all that? This is completely approved on Google Display right now. And so we are running on GDN through a traffic partner. There still are some issues sometimes with ad approvals, specifically with Google, but the page is approved. We're running some in-stream ads and YouTube that are going well. Not a massive amount of scale yet, but it's been consistent. And so this page that I'm showing you here, which has all this stuff, is actually still good for like Google and GDN right now. I'm gonna check, make sure if there's any major messages, and I want to get to what we've done now to be able to get back on Facebook, and why I think where we are with Facebook now, we'll be able to run for a much longer period of time. But let me check out these messages.
Stefan, if you want to stay focused on the copy, I'll read out the questions to you.
Okay, that sounds great then.
So Leandro says, the idea of having a mini site like that, do you also feel like breaking down the sales page into different sections is a good idea?
I think it can be, and some people are doing that. What you'll see is it looks more like e-com oriented if it's broken down into sections. So I see people doing that and having some success with it. We're not doing it here, but I do think, it's something to test, and that I know people are having success doing that.
Yeah. So this is kind of the essence of the watered down direct response. It's almost e-com hybrid sales pagey. It's meant to look pretty. It's meant to not be as ugly and hard hitting as normal sales pages. The stories are nowhere near as dramatic. But that's kind of what you have to do to run these on Facebook. So if it had, like, with all these kind of the images and stuff, it probably does hurt the conversions, but it also is more pleasing to Facebook. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, visually, that's important. And, what's interesting, so to show you guys where we went after this, because again, we started having issues with Facebook. A couple interesting things. What we realized is we were still talking in the term of you. So one thing Facebook really doesn't like in general, especially with health, but this is actually pretty true across the board for direct response, is using you, the word you, right? So does this scenario sound familiar to you? If you're like my friend, it's important you pay attention. So we were still using you a lot, and we realized that this probably wasn't a good idea. And this isn't all us just figuring it out. We talked to other experts in compliance and people who were running, Facebook offers successfully on Facebook, things like that. It's not like we just sort of guessed and became geniuses. We talked to smart people and found out that kind of you was one of the big issues, that writing in the third person is significantly better. And so that's one of the changes we decided to make in the next version. The same person we kind of talked to, one of the experts, told us to oversight the shit out of things, which, to give you an example of that, I'll show you guys. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you guys right now. And then the other thing as I do this is to clean up the images. So in the one I just showed you, there's like a fat guy with a stomach, things that may make you feel negative. There's a lot of usage of the word you. So if you go to this version, which is one we're running on Facebook right now, what's actually kind of funny to me is there's no header again, but that's actually okay. And I'll get to why in a minute. But what you see now is this is a scenario that millions of Americans face every day. So we went from, this scenario sound familiar to you, to this is a scenario that millions of Americans face every day. This is an important message I have to share, or this important message I have to share right now is absolutely critical to anyone suffering from erratic blood sugar that keeps them in a constant uphill battle with their health. So again, first of all, pretty watered down here in general, but we really removed a lot of the you. I would do it actually to see how often is you used on this one. 357 times. How many times is you used in this one? 31 times. So that's like a pretty dramatic difference there. But it's a huge difference because going back to one thing, like I said, Facebook doesn't like is calling out the user. Now, when I say oversighting, like here, what you'll notice on this version, we still have a pretty, a dramatic story, but it's not like crazy over the top. What you'll notice is as soon as this starts happening, we start citing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It actually is pretty absurd. So if you look at the original kind of Facebook compliant version we had, which will, ended up not being great, there's 20, it was great conversion wise, but didn't have sustainable staying power of Facebook. There were 23 citations. I'm going to blow your guys' mind. But if you look at this current version we're running, it has 127 citations. We're citing stuff that like, I don't even know like what we're citing. Like I had one of our junior copywriters go in and just sort of was like, anytime anything says anything, just cite it. And again, we went from like 23 citations to 127 citations, but it made a huge difference. While I'm down here, another thing I'll point out to you guys, and if you run Nutra on Facebook or want to, you can more or less copy this disclaimer from us. If you look at the original disclaimer we had, it was that kind of traditional products and claims have not been evaluated by the United States and Food and Drug Administration, are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent disease, and the rest of that kind of stuff there. What we changed here, because this is what Facebook liked more, is that GS85's claims to support healthy blood glucose come from its ingredients and its ingredients' respective studies, as well as anecdotal and experiences of customers. The products and the claims made about specific products on or through the site have not been evaluated by the United States Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent diseases. And it kind of continues on with the rest of it. So we made that disclaimer where we talk about the product specifically. So if you guys are doing and look this and rip it. I don't rip the copy, please. But if you need to take some format stuff, that's where you'll find it. And again, still have all the information in the footer, but we don't have anything in the header. I mentioned clean up the images. I do want to mention one thing too that is really important and kind of like a hack or shortcut is we started working with an agency based out of Israel. And so, it's not Kendago, though we had Rafi from Kendago at our traffic and conversion mastermind. It's another partner I have who buys media for a lot of guys who have like long form Nutra and who he's been able to run sustainably for several years at a time or, long term. And so the advantages to working with an agency out of Israel is that it's actually an entirely different compliance process. So that rather than in the US where it's very strict as far as like Nutra and supplements and medical goes, by going through an agency, and they're physically have an agency in Israel, you're going through a whole different compliance team, a whole different review process, a whole different like approval process, everything. And so, they're more comfortable with kind of nutraceuticals. They're more comfortable with health products. They're better at communication than in the US. Like you have better relationships with the reps. And as a result of that, and what's happening now is we've started slow with this. Now we're up to a couple $1,000s a day in ad spend, and it will continue. We're planning on scaling it to $10,000, $20,000 a day or more. It's actually getting waitlisted, which is amazing because it's getting waitlisted through this Israeli agency and through Facebook's Israeli team. But then if somebody in the US sees the offer, goes to look at it, and notices that it's already waitlisted, it's not going to get manually reviewed. It's not going to be triggered for reviews or anything like that, unless there's some kind of major reason why. If there's massive complaints, I'm sure a review could still happen. But the waitlisting is key, and that's how the partner we work with is able to run these offers at scale, including for some of the biggest guys in our space, for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and does it time and time again. So let me see if there's anything else major here, and then I'll
Yeah,
stop for a minute.
I'll pop in and answer the questions.
Yeah.
So just for a quick update for everybody listening, type in the chat if this has been valuable so far. I just want to make sure if we're hitting the right notes that we want to. Awesome. Okay, great. Cool. So
Sweet.
let's go back up. A couple questions that I saw. You're running this to cold traffic on Facebook, correct?
Yes.
Okay. John Herring asked, you can't say high blood sugar, but you can talk about the condition in a positive way, correct? For example, healthy blood sugar.
Yeah, you can say healthy blood sugar. That'd be fine. If you're talking about just sort of sustaining your health, that's generally going to be fine.
Yep. So then someone else asked about saying the citations being limited is less friendly to Facebook. So yeah, that's what Stefan said. The more citations, the better for Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you told me even a few months ago that I'd have a sales letter that has 127 citations, I would have just thought you were messing with me or something. But again, ultimately, whatever it takes, and this is something that, Facebook wants to see. Because again, Facebook wants to cover their ass. You know what I mean? That's a huge part of it. It's not just it's like they hate neutral. Like they want to take our money. They want to be profitable, right? But they want to be able to cover their butts. And so, the more citations you have, the more that they can point to and, and feel safe and secure in running it.
Yep. Cool. Let's move on to the next example. We got 5 of them to get through.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to answer any more questions? Or do you want me to just sort of hop in?
Well, you can answer a few of them right now if you want.
I'll rapid fire on it real quick. Just because if you're able to run a VSL, right? Yeah, you could for sure. We happen to find that for Facebook, text sales letters actually work really well. For native, it's the opposite, where VSLs are almost always better than text sales letters. But for Facebook, we happen to like text sales letters. But you look like Golden Hippo, or people were running stuff on Facebook with VSL, so you definitely still can. And then, Sterling asked about the Israeli agency a little more, and essentially, the ads are being approved, but no, the agency is literally based in Israel, so it's working with Israel's compliance team. And basically, does Facebook look at your page after this lander? Somebody asked, if you mean like the rest of the funnel, maybe it depends. And again, Tanner has asked about the Israeli thing as well. So basically, he said, how does working with an agency in Israel help you with compliance if when you're targeting audience in the US? Because they don't mind where you're targeting. An Israeli company can still market to a US company. That's not the issue. It's just that their compliance process is different. And it's not just Israel, from what I understand, overseas in general. Facebook is a massive, massive corporation now. And so they have compliance teams that are, all over the place. And then just as far as I guess I know there are a lot of questions, and we do need to keep moving, Justin. But if there's anything, I see. Just Bernie says Facebook.
I'm gonna keep moving now. Otherwise, this is gonna turn into a 3-hour webinar.
Yep. Okay. No problem. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm gonna share my screen. All right. All right. So we said we were going to show a couple more examples. So here we have a free book offer, not free book, but $4.95 offer for a James Altucher book. This is a financial offer that Agora is running. They've been running this I've seen it at least for the last 5 to 6 months. So this offer is definitely working for them. As you can see from the copy and everything, it's pretty toned down. I mean, that headline really doesn't have a huge benefit or anything. I've gone from one end of the financial spectrum to the other. I can say that now I'm free. So actually Doug chimed in. So we've been reworking this for Facebook for a long time. Awesome. So this is not anything very like different from a lot of other free book offers. But one thing that I did want to point out is that like the free plus shipping offers, Facebook is starting to crack down on those a little bit. So that's why you see that they're doing the you just pay $4.95 and we'll pay for your shipping. So it's kind of the same thing, but reversed. I've seen that happen a lot. So just to kind of dig into it here, this is like a real book. Starts out with a good story, talking about how James Altucher wasn't satisfied with his life. He was broke, getting divorced. Keeps going into the story, talking about how to reinvent their lives. He's reinvented his career 14 times. Talks about how this is the book he wished he wrote 20 years ago. Goes into the stories about how James has lost a bunch of money, made it back. Some really in-depth bullets. So I mean, in terms, the big thing here to look at is in terms of an offer that is a financial offer, they're really not making huge like financial claims. So that's probably one of the top things that they would really go after. Facebook's going to just clamp down if they're making financial claims like they normally would. Facebook's going to say no. So let's keep going. So I know they have a bunch more testimonials. A lot of these they couch them with the results may vary. That's something like Facebook is going to look for. They tend to clamp down on testimonials.
Just to jump in there too, Justin, I did another sort of search thing. I think that the term results may vary appears 27 times on that page. So they're constantly disclaiming.
Yep. Then we have expert testimonials. So Tim Ferriss, CEO of Twitter, Brian Koppelman, who created Billions. And then we get into the bonuses. So this is a very, very standard sales page, just kind of watered down and made more friendly for Facebook. That's kind of the big takeaway I want you to see here. Couple of the bonuses. So 10 ways you could generate quick bucks in a single weekend. Great bonus there. People want quick money. 5 best retirement jobs in America, going after their niche, which is 50 to 70-year-old people. That's perfect kind of bonus. Another James Altucher book about wealth. Some more kind of bullets in here about each of these. Then we got some good testimonials. Doug chimed in and said, Facebook does not like specificity. Yes, very, very true. That's a great point, Doug. So I'm just going to keep kind of scrolling through this to show it. I mean, it's a lot of copy, but even for a free plus shipping offer, you should be using a lot of copy. Longer copy does work better, even for cheap offers. And for a $4.95 offer, you got, 30 pages of copy here. And then they sum up the offer here at the end, show you everything again. A big section here about why they're giving it away. This is crucial on these cheaper offers because people are skeptical as to why you're giving it away for so cheap. And then boom, you just click there and get your copy. So overall, a really good offer. The free plus shipping offers and the cheap price book offers tend to be working really well on Facebook in a variety of different niches. So, Stefan, any questions? We're not going to show any ads on this call. So this call is all about the actual sales pages. Any questions you got?
Well, I didn't see a ton of questions on that. I mean, people were reacting to it, of course. I did note one other thing too, even with the lead, you'll notice how it's a story about his personal story, and then his personal story of alienation, and then how he went from that story of feeling alienated to then, turning his life around. But it's all about him. So even though later on they do talk to you in the sales copy, the lead is again kind of more about him and his story versus like, hey, have you felt this way? Have you felt alienated? Have you not known what to do? Have you felt all alone? All of that kind of stuff. Like it's in going back to that, because we're not trying to call it the user. And so they're not in the lead. And then to what, Doug said with specificity, again, very important, where, not only is it not direct things of make $100,000 in the next 25 days or something like that, but it's like potentially could make money. And of course, so many times it's like, just because I did this, results may vary. There's just disclaimers everywhere for it. But I just want to point out, especially in the beginning, that you'll see a lot more copy nowadays with a third person story or a personal story instead of a talking to the reader specifically. And that's because of Facebook compliance.
Yeah. So Kyle had a good question. It seems like story long form copy is really what is winning. Tell a great story, but spend more time softening up. Is that correct? Yeah. My number one go-to for a sales page is always a great story. You're going to have to soften it up for a Facebook offer, because they don't want the big dramatic, I was on my deathbed, now I'm running around doing marathons. They need something a little softer, but yeah, you're definitely dead on with that. All right. So any questions about this James Altucher free book offer before we move on? Ashley asked, is there a force free trial with it? No, there is no force free trial with it. Drew asked, any differences between mobile and desktop versions of the same page? Yeah, absolutely. Some people's stuff actually works better on mobile because you can get the clicks for so cheap. Other people tend to find that mobile doesn't work as well, and they target just desktop. It's one of those things that there's really no hard answer. You just have to test it. Because I've seen it go both ways.
For Emily asking about before and after pics related to a story, if you have results will vary. If they're not really dramatic, honestly, like for like dramatic weight loss images, for example, it's typically a challenge with Facebook. If you're looking at sort of something that seems like realistic and achievable and you have it disclaimed properly, you can still generally do a before after, but it wouldn't be accompanied with a, Kim lost 17 pounds in 15 days doing this, or, Bob's hair all grew back in 25 days. It's more like just sort of, if you're gonna do the pictures, it needs to be sort of realistic looking, be disclaimed. And then also, if there is a text related, you need to make it not less specific as well.
Cool. All right, let's jump into the next one. Let's see. All right, so this is from the survival niche. If you're familiar with the survival niche, you'll know that most things in survival are pretty doom and gloom and apocalyptic, and the world's coming to an end, and everything is all the politicians' fault, all that. And while that stuff works really, really well, it's also exactly what Facebook does not want. So a lot of the people in the survival niche can't run anything on Facebook. So I thought this is a great example for someone who basically took what was pretty hard to have, or what was pretty hard to get approved on Facebook, and now has turned it into a kind of cleaner, softer version of what they were probably running before. So this is a backyard harvest gardening. So it's like gardening survival. It's kind of it's not hardcore survival. Basically a pretty basic page here. It looks a little different on mobile. And you'll see when you look at this page, it's pretty, I don't even know how to describe it. This really is a typical example of a watered down sales page. So we have the book, like literally straight up front, they're talking about the book. They talk about what's so great about the backyard harvest. When you claim your physical copy of the book today, here's what you're going to get. So we got a couple bullet points. Nothing special. This is very just ho-hum copywriting. More benefits in a really kind of good-looking format. So fruit and vegetable growing tips, growing herbs in containers, succulent container gardening tips, PVC gardening tips, another link to get your free book, a look at what's inside the book. So just some pictures from everything going on. And then we have a couple testimonials. Not, like I said, nothing special about these, but I'm sure they help. Plus they have 5 free bonuses that they do with the offer, which is free bonus number 1, which is backyard container gardens. They show again what's inside of that. Free bonus number 2, backyard paleo, how to raise your own chickens. Some pictures about that. Free bonus number 3, indoor gardening. So like I said, this is kind of more a little, I've never seen somebody post more questions than Bernie. just firing them off.
I mean, I also kind of read it as like Bernie Sanders said we should run a climate change VSL. And I was like, I know it's Sander, but yeah, definitely coming from it.
Bernie, you're limited to 3 questions for the rest of the webinar, so please choose wisely. Hydroponic gardening, the free bonus. So we got 4 bonuses so far, and then again, literally just use the same format, which is showing them what's in the bonus. They're gonna get emails from this, so I'm assuming this is what this is, the Garden Mastery Club, lifetime access. I'm assuming that's just like the daily emails. And then they restate the offer, and then a link to get your free book. So this is super, I mean, you compare this to Stefan's, this is super, super drilled down and watered down and very graphic heavy, not a ton of copy. I would probably do a few more bullet points in here. I would try to tease out some fascinations. There's got to be more kind of cool stuff in there that they could tease out. So I would do that if this was my offer. But overall, really good offer that I know is working.
Justin, what do you think about at the very top, like above the fold? Like it's pretty simple. I mean, like just an image of the book, The Backyard Harvest for Free, postal office sort of logo, which I'm guessing is to make you understand some physical copy. And you do have this 47-second video. And again, this is on desktop. But I mean, I was curious, there's not like no headline really, nothing except for kind of the call to action button right there. That's just barely above the fold. Do you think that makes sense, or would you test like having more copy if this was yours kind of up at the top?
I think I would definitely test a little more. I don't see how adding a headline would hurt. I mean, yeah. My gut tells me this is really kind of designed for mobile.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it on mobile, and actually it looks pretty good on mobile. So I would be inclined to believe this is all kind of set up for mobile.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Some type of headline would definitely help.
For sure.
Cool. Let's move on to, so we did 1 health one, 1 survival, 1 financial. Let's move on to online marketing. So if you're on Facebook and you're in the internet marketing world, you have probably seen Dean Graciosi's book. This thing, from what I know, is doing anywhere from 400 to 600 front-end sales a day. So kicking ass. And really, it's not nothing special about it. It follows a pretty formulaic thing that most people do for free plus shipping books. I'll play a little bit of the video.
New York Times best-selling author, success trainer, speaking to sold-out crowds around the world on national TV for over 15 years. A hugely successful entrepreneur and businessman, people like billionaire Sir Richard Branson said, Dean is the type of entrepreneur that makes the world a better place. And Tony Robbins said, Dean's a genius for what he does. This guy is everywhere. And
hey, this is Dean Graziosi.
The reason this offer works, I think, by far, is that all of that credibility and proof that he has at the beginning of that video. If it just started with him talking right here, I would guarantee it's probably at least a 40 to 50% drop in conversions. A lot of the proof that they have, especially when you're marketing to cold traffic, these people have no idea who you are, but they come here and they see Larry King and Tony Robbins and President Clinton and all that. Much, much, much more credibility and all that for you. So let's kind of we'll go through the offer a little bit. You have the headline, new book from multiple New York Times bestselling author Dean Graziosi. So we got proof up there. He talks about there's 1,700 new millionaires created every day. Could you be next? Get your free copy of the book while supplies last. A couple bullets here under the video talking about what you get. The order form above the fold, really smart on this, especially on free offers. So he says, I'll pay for the book, you cover shipping. So that's just kind of a flip of the free plus shipping offer, which we kind of saw with the Agora one. A couple pictures over here with people with their book for social proof. More social proof down here with big name people, Tony Robbins, Brendan Russell, Larry King, Richard Branson, Maria Forleo. I'm sure that definitely helps. And then we have just a decent amount of copy of here's why this book is different and why you want it. This isn't some rah-rah book where you get hyped up motivation. He goes into Dean goes into his story a little bit. He never went to college. He was dyslexic. His parents were married 3 times. He never thought he was going to be successful. He learned how to be successful, and that's what he's going to reveal to you in the book. So a quick story, but still a story nonetheless. Dives into some of the pain points here. Most people hate their job. They're stressed, worried about finances. Talks about how to get new active cash flow. We're living in the most prosperous time in history. Really just nothing special about this copy, but I think it definitely hits for this market. Stefan, anything you want to chime in with?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think this thing is all about that credibility with everything from being a New York Times bestselling author to Larry King to Tony Robbins later on the page. I mean, it's just a bunch of heavy hitters. It does. So I did dissect this page for one of the members in our Copy Accelerator group because they sent it to me. So I got it transcribed and then I sort of did a breakdown of it. And without taking too much time, as I look through the transcript here, you do see like he does actually check all the boxes. It's definitely not like super special copy. I agree with that. But, obviously calls out the problem of being small-minded, being left behind, a changing world. He promises a solution, which is that basically now is, it's not a solution as much as a big promise, but, it's the greatest time in history for you to build wealth. And if you have the right capabilities and if you have the right secrets, there's a bit of a background story. He lived in, this is for the video I'm talking about specifically, which we didn't watch the whole thing of, but he lived in a bathroom with his dad for almost a year with a little electric heater. He basically does actually hit a lot of those elements between the video and the page. And so I think when you combine that plus the, kind of notoriety, plus all the credibility and proof elements and everything, I think that's, plus the offer, which of course, again, is like a free book offer, which we'll generally do all anyway. I think it's a really potent combination.
Yep, I agree. One of the questions is how important is the page after your landing page in terms of compliance? It's not anywhere near as important as the page they land on. The page they land on is the most important. The further you get away from the page they land on, the compliance issues tend to go down.
Mike, yeah. Well, Mike asked you, have you tested a super simple opt-in page with a sales letter on the thank you page? Would FB compliance still be a big issue on the thank you page? Yeah, you still need to be compliant there, especially going back to what Justin just said, with it just being removed by one click. You know, one of the main reasons people are running these quiz funnels where you have to click through, 8 times, it's not just to sort of get people to feel engaged and involved. It's because that's 8 clicks. You're now 8 clicks removed from the Facebook ad. So then by the time you get to the copy, it's a lot more comfortable. And so, similar concept there, just going right to a opt-in page and from an opt-in page right to the sales letter, probably you're still gonna have to, follow all the same compliance check marks. If you go through an 8-question quiz where each one's a click to go to question 2, 3, 4, and so forth, then, you probably can get away with a little bit more of aggressive copy.
Yep. Yeah. So we've seen that with a lot of the people that we help in our Copy Accelerator group, that the further you get away from the original click, the compliance matters less and less. So kind of what Stefan said, like if they're buying something from a sales page, then going to a checkout page, then going to the upsell, like you can be pretty hard hitting in your upsell without Facebook kind of caring about that. Cool. Any questions about this Dean Graziosi offer before we move on to the next one? All right, so let's move on to the next one. So we've gone over health, survival, financial, a make money online one, and now we'll wrap it up with another health one. I learned about this one from a mastermind I was at a couple weeks ago. Really kind of shocked me because this is a super clean, very minimized, not much going on in terms of the offer, not much copy, yet it's working on Facebook. So this is targeting women about optimal hormone health, the power of hormones. You can see this is a very pretty style page. I don't think that countdown timer was up there originally, so it might have been just because I was already at the page. Starts off with a little story about how her health was spiraling downwards because of weight gain, her low mood, insomnia. Doctors couldn't explain it. She found out the problem was hormones. So a quick kind of story. And then it dives into some very just clean benefits. Optimum hormone health will bring you improved sleep, supports healthy weight, boosts your mood, improve skin and hair, improve relationships, improve brain health. And then it digs into her story a little more. So she was suffering from hormone imbalance. She just had her 3rd kid. She couldn't sleep through the night. She was so relieved that she got a decent night's sleep. She was waking up exhausted, had to drag herself through the day. Nothing changed. She was exercising all the time. She felt guilty as a mother. So a short kind of story there. And then really literally dives into the offer here, which is crazy to me that this is working because it's so short. And they're sending this straight from Facebook ads to this offer. It shows the offer, exactly what they're getting. Pretty cool offer, lots of stuff they get. Could be part of why it's working.
I do really like the design on this one too, because it does feel very, very e-com oriented, even with her story, you can click it and then it's like a pop-up with an about the author, right? Yeah. For when you say click through the full story. But design wise, I think, while, it's very feminine, which is the market, it looks like kind of like a combination of e-com, like a blog and a bit of a sales page too. So I think that's probably very effective, especially from a compliance standpoint.
Yep. One of the reasons this offer works so well is it is a higher priced offer. So the physical package is $99, digital is $39. So just getting the higher average order value out there definitely helps. Again, goes into more testimonials, women who have used the product. Guaranteed, like always. Frequently asked questions at the bottom. Stefan and I both are big fans of doing that. Adding an FAQ at the bottom almost always adds 10 to 15% boosting conversions. And yeah, so I mean, this page, like I said, is really interesting to me. It's probably not running at the scale that some of the other ones we showed were, but it is working on Facebook. And to me, it's pretty interesting because it's a very, very clean, watered down direct response style. Any other thoughts you got on that one, Stefan?
No. I mean, like I think Brian pointed out that they're doing the economist model with their pricing, which I noticed as well, and that's always really fun. But that was a good catch by Brian. But yeah, no, I mean, it's clean. I honestly, I'm kind of surprised it's working as well because it's not really super long. It is all her story. Again, going back to the whole you thing, you look at the beginning of that copy, it's not talking about, if your hormones are all fucked up, and I cuss, so sorry, but then listen to this because here's how you can, regulate your hormones and improve your energy. It's like this woman's personal story. And so one thing that is worth noting there is, again, people sometimes ask like, oh, so with watered down copy with Facebook, can you not tell stories anymore? And the answer to that is no, you can totally still tell stories, but you're telling them, I mean, yeah, they can't be as over the top as someone sawing off the diabetic dad's leg in the hospital, whatever. But it's a personal story, or maybe it's an anecdotal story about somebody that is a legit somebody things like that. So the storytelling is not dying here. It is being watered down, and it's coming from the perspective of a personal story versus have you experienced this type thing?
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good point. So couple questions came in. I have no idea what the volume they were doing on that one is, but I know they're making sales on Facebook. Emily asked, does the FAQ on upsell pages help with take rates on those offers? I've actually never tested FAQs on upsell pages. They work on, me and Stefan actually just talked about this the other day. They work on regular sales pages, so it shows that they might work on upsell. It'd be a good thing to test. Do you know if there's any non-book offer financial promos working on Facebook right now, i.e. selling the auto-renew newsletter outright for $49? I have not seen any. That's a really, really hard sale to make, especially with not being able to do a whole lot on Facebook. Some of the guys in financial who are on the call might have a better idea, but I have not seen any lately. If you've seen one, feel free to type it in the chat, but I have not. Justin, are you and Stefan doing FAQs on the pages you showed us earlier? Yeah, I always do FAQs on every sales page I write. What are new niches to target? I mean, that's a really broad question.
CBD is interesting. I've seen CBD being brought, in crypto from Bernie here, but those are still both challenging from a compliance standpoint. I don't know actually personally where Facebook's at with CBD now. I'm not sure if somebody else has the answer, but from what I last saw, it was still pretty tough with Facebook. Yeah,
I was going to say CBD and crypto, you're going to run into a lot of issues with Facebook for sure. Yeah, I've honestly not seen any CBD stuff on Facebook. If you've seen some, feel free to post it, but I haven't seen any. And I think there's a reason you haven't seen any is because it's really hard to run. And I would assume that people that are running it are probably running it black hat. They're cloaking stuff and doing it in a way that Facebook doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Let's take a couple questions and then we'll move into some stuff that Steph and I want to show you guys.
When we're talking, there's 100 questions, and now that we're actually quiet, does anyone have any questions? Maybe if we missed something previously that you asked or anything like that? We did such a good job of explaining everything.
So cool. Well, let's so Stefan, let's talk about kind of how they can make these offers work. So Stefan, I wanted to share this with you. Basically, a lot of people always want to know how. Can everybody see that? Stefan, say yes.
I can see it. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people always want to know how they can. I can't see the chat right now, so if anything comes in, feel free to let me know. Want to know how they can work with me and Stefan. A lot of what we're doing right now is helping people put together offers like what we just showed you. So a lot of the people actually on this call, we are actually currently helping. I'll show you a couple examples. So some of the guys at Agora Financial, Doug Hill, who chimed in a couple times, we've been helping them with a couple things. V-Shred, who is probably the biggest in the fitness space right now, running a quiz on Facebook. I think they're $100 million now. Dan Locke, his copywriter Ed, he was on the call. Natural Health Sherpa, they have 3 different writers that we help with. Healthy Back Institute, TrueGenics, Paleo Hacks, Meredith Shirk, Tyler Bramlett, Mike G, Steve Weatherford, 4 Patriots. So these are just a couple of the people that Steph and I are helping. I think we calculated the other day that over $1 billion worth of revenue yearly of people that we're helping right now. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Also, anyways, we're not just helping the big companies. So also helping freelance copywriters to write more winners, land higher paying clients. So we're pretty much connected to everyone in the direct response space online. And we know the people who always need copy, especially the high paying people, the good clients you actually want to work with. So if you're up to snuff, Steph and I would always be up for connecting you with people. And then we also work with business owners, who still write their own copy. So we help them to dial that in, scale it, get their upsells dialed in, and create offers that actually scale on things like Facebook and native and all of that. Anyways, I want to share a couple of examples of some of the wins we've seen so far. So we have, I guess I didn't really explain it. So we have a group called Copy Accelerator. We mentioned it a couple of times. Stefan and I lead the group. There's about 58 people in the group right now, I think.
Yeah.
A bunch of the people I just mentioned. So if you're a business owner, like there's business owners who put their copywriters in the group and we work with them directly. And then there's also freelance copywriters in there. There are, what else we got? We have business owners who, like I said, are still writing their own copy. They're in the group. Anyways, Steph and I work with you each week. And then you also kind of have access to us every single day in this Facebook group to ask us questions, bounce ideas off of us. We'll look at your copy and critique it, all kinds of stuff like that. Actually, a couple of these people are probably on the call. Tanner, are you on the call right now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Tanner is one of the guys in the Copy Accelerator group. Do you want to just give a little overview of some of the wins you guys have seen?
Yeah, for sure. So like it says up there, myself and a couple other copywriters in the group are with Natural Health Sherpa, which is Mark Stockman's company. And he put us into the group. And on the first, I think it was the first call, I brought a few controls that we've been running in email for like a long time that had just been kicking ass, and they were starting to fatigue a little bit. So I kind of wanted to get feedback on them before they completely died. And the stuff that Stefan and Justin suggested for me to tweak in there were pretty what I thought were small changes, but they ended up beating both of those controls. And then we were able to test this in pretty much every email we send now, and it's consistently getting us winners. So I told Mark about it, and he was like, well, that's probably going to be enough to pay for putting 3 people in the program just from that one thing that we learned in the first week. So he's pretty happy about that. And it was just cool to see the wins like that right away.
Yeah, that was a big winner. I think it was something like 40% winner you got on that first one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is Randall on the call too? Stefan, I know you said he might be.
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You want to share some of yours?
Yeah, no, for sure. I came in the group when you guys started, and for me, it's by far been the most profitable, I think, coaching program I've ever done. I think the thing that stands out for me is the depth of knowledge you guys bring, because not only can I bring you, really pretty much any piece of copy, but we can look at the funnels and see where there's a sticking point. For me, all my clients now benefit from having these A-list copywriters in the group and the two of you, because now I can bring everything to you guys that I have questions on and immediately dial something in or see something that I missed. And there's been clients that now I'm going back to and reworking video sales letters and sales letters and upsells based on feedback you guys are giving me in real time. So it's been incredible.
Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. I know there's a couple other people on the call. If anybody else wants to jump on who's in the group, wants to share something, feel free to. Yeah, one of the ones we heard about earlier this week, I mentioned VShred. They're probably one of the biggest companies in the fitness space. They got literally doubled their conversion rates on their upsells from some stuff that Stefan and I taught them probably about 2 weeks ago on upsells. We're kind of teaching a bunch of stuff on upsells right now and going through my whole process for dialing in upsells. And yeah, for a company that's as big as VShred, like I said, I think they're a $100 million company now. So doubling conversions on the upsells was pretty massive boost to their bottom line. Stefan, anything you want to add about these?
No, I mean, I think there's, the list kind of goes on and on. I'm kind of extremely proud of what we're doing with Copy Accelerator, just because like we teach, there's the weekly training calls, which are on Zoom, just like this, and then we've got our live events. The first one's coming up in September. It's 2 live events per year. And then the Facebook group, which I think we should maybe even show like a little sneak peek to people here, Justin, on. That's actually been one of my biggest surprises, because it's kind of crazy. It's extremely, extremely engaged, and you've got all these really high level people sharing different kind of questions, wins, asking, for input. And I've been in lots of masterminds, and I've never really seen kind of the level of engagement that we get in this Facebook group. And and again, specific copy questions that you and I come in and give people feedback on. So it's something that I just absolutely am loving. I'm really so proud of it.
Yeah. So if you're looking at my screen right now, can you guys see that? Can you see it, Stefan?
Yeah, I can see it there. That's an example. People are asking for ads, and that's like, hey, there are the ads. But
yeah, we do share ads within the private Facebook group. So yeah, I mean, people, if they want feedback from us, if you want feedback directly from Stefan and I, we have it in this private Facebook group. Like I said, there's about 58 people in here. There, you can see one of the ads right there. And yeah, so we have people Joe, who's a really good copywriter here, was trying to come up with a big idea for a new supplement promo he's working on. Bounced a bunch of ideas off Stefan and I. Stefan and I came back and gave him a bunch of suggestions for what we thought was the best. Kind of all kinds of stuff in here. We have upsells. We talk about offers that are working. Here's Randall getting feedback on some of his emails. So yeah, like Stefan said, the private Facebook group to me as well has been kind of, I don't know, this thing that I didn't expect, but people are getting a ton out of it, because you get direct feedback from both Stefan and I, which is, you can't really get it anywhere else. I'll actually tap into that now, because neither I or Stefan are like very easy to work with. So we actually were talking about this before the call. I was like, my normal consulting fee is $35,000 for a day. I just did a consulting day with the Oxford Club, who's an Agora imprint. And then if you wanted me to actually write copy for you, it's anywhere between $30K to $100K to create an entire funnel or offer. And that's also includes royalties. Stefan, I know, is somewhere around 10 grand a month. Is that right? Ongoing retainer?
Yeah, that's for consulting, which is like 4 calls, like 4 1-hour calls. So that's 10,000 a month on retainer.
Yeah.
And sales letters. Similar to Justin, 50 to 100,000 plus, royalties a lot of the time. So yeah, not cheap, but I'm worth it, of course. But same thing with you, right? But yeah, it's generally, we're not always that accessible. And that's one of the things that makes Copy Accelerator so cool, is it is a way more accessible way to work with us. I mean, people bring in stuff to the Facebook page all the time, or a Facebook group. And I'll make a video breakdown for them sometimes, or, Justin goes through and they'll share something in Google Docs and he'll just comment up, like, change this, like this is, explore this idea. It's just really cool. You're kind of getting us as your own, personal and private consultants for copy, but, front end compliance, upsells. There are questions about scaling with affiliates and, traffic, which are things that Justin and I both have a lot of expertise with as well. Funneling clients to copywriters in the group who are independent copywriters. There's just a lot of cool stuff happening there.
Yeah, so I'll break it down. If you're on my email list, you've seen me talk about Copy Accelerator numerous times. Basically, what you get is you get access to both Stefan and I each week on the calls. There's a call each week for about 90 minutes. You can ask us questions and get feedback in the private Facebook group. And then we have 2 live events where you'll be able to hang out with us, go to dinner. We're going to work with you kind of in small groups at the live events to really dial in your copy. So that's kind of I don't know, can't really get that. Like I said, Steph and I aren't easy to work with because we're pretty booked up, but the group format allows us to work with a lot of people at once. And the cool thing is you really get to see stuff from so many different niches because we have guys like Ed, who's on the call, who's Dan Locke's head copywriter. He knows a ton of what's working in the make money online niche, and Ed shares a bunch of that stuff on the calls and in the groups. We have a ton of people from health that are sharing what's working for them. We have a bunch of people from financial. I can't even think of survival, like all the big major niches. Somebody in the group is in there and somebody's doing pretty damn well. So it's cool to kind of see everyone pitch it in. You get to see exactly what's working for them now, and everyone's really open with sharing what's working for them. So that's kind of cool to see. Anyways, if you're interested in the Copy Accelerator program, I'm not going to make this a long, drawn-out pitch for it, but it's $1,800 a month. You get access to all that stuff that I just told you about. And basically, we're going to do a special bonus for all the people on this call who are not in the group yet. I know there's a good amount of people on the call who are already in the group. But if you're not in the group and you want to join, one of the first bonuses, Stefan did a $12,000 copywriting seminar in Las Vegas last year, and there was like 55 people at it, all the big names in direct response. It got pretty rave reviews. I couldn't make it, and I literally heard from like 3 people at the event who like texted me and said I needed to be there. Anyways, you get a copy of that. We also have a swipe file of like 300 of the best sales letters and VSLs that Stefan's pretty militant about transcribing these and keeping them on hand. So all kinds of different niches. And then the third one we're going to give is a real special kickoff call with both Stefan and I, where we'll fix your biggest kind of needle mover. We'll talk to you in a small group format. So all the people who join from this call, we'll talk to you in a small group format, and me and Stefan will dial in and figure out what your number one needle mover is. So if that's like your first upsell is bad or something with your copy is missing, we'll dial in on that. So you can get an instant bump in conversions or average order value. I've done these before, and literally 3 of the people I've done them for, within 3 weeks, made their entire investment into the program back with me. Because I was just finding little things that to them they were oblivious to, but to me stood out really, really. It was easy fix. So yeah. Anyways, those are the three bonuses we're given if you want to join Copy Accelerator. Stefan, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, a couple of things also that crossed my mind here. One, so we do have a ton of resources, like the swipe file is a huge part of it. But another thing I've been sharing is like I have a process for how I've trained my copy cubs and who have then gone on to write 7-8-figure offers. And so whether you're a business owner and you have copy cubs now, or you are a copywriter, that's something that's also available for the group. And so it's basically a 10-step process. When I shared it, a bunch of people were like, this is like insane value. Sion, who was in it, was like, this alone literally just paid for the entire year because it's like a predictable process for training copywriters and getting them to write better copy. And so again, whether you're already a good copywriter and you want to review that, or you want to be able to hire more copywriters and build that up, it's a really valuable asset. A few other just that I just thought of, like kind of, Tim and Dan Rice, right? Without going into the details for them, we respect their offer, but basically they'd emailed Justin and I maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago. One of their businesses, since they started working with us, their main one has like doubled in revenue, and the other one's already up 25%. Mike Bontempo, who's in the biz ops sort of space. I know I did one email that I rewrote for him in the Facebook group that doubled his clicks and his opt-ins for a high ticket the kind of offer he was doing. It was by far the best email he's ever ran now. There's just, the list goes on. And so we really are extremely giving for this group. It's one of our absolute main focuses. And, on top of that, the kickoff bonus call we're doing for people who sign up, today, where they're able to get this kind of intimate time with Justin and I, where we'll look at it. I mean, usually that's not something we offer, and especially not for anything but a whole lot of money. So there's a ton of value there. It's a massive ROI. And, so I think it's something where, again, I'm super passionate about it because we've been just changing so many businesses and so many lives already. And I mean, it's just going to keep going up from here.
Yeah. Thanks for adding that in. So one thing, we are making this a limited time offer, especially the kickoff call. So it's good until midnight Pacific time tonight. Did you post the link in the comments, or you want me to?
Yeah, I didn't do it yet. You can do it right now, or I can.
We can, let me stop sharing this, and then we'll post the link in the comments. So one thing to really talk about is, this is specifically for, like I said, it works for freelance copywriters, or if you're a business owner and you want to put your copy team into the program. That's what a lot of these companies are doing. They just put them in there, and then Stefan and I train them for them. So you kind of get all the results and you don't really have to do any of the work, which is nice. And then, so basically, whether you write your own copy or you have copywriters that write it for you, we will train you. So did you post the link?
Here we go. So here's the links right now. So basically, we put a single, 2, and 3. So just basically easier if it's, if you're signing up one person or individually, you use a single link. If you're signing up, yourself and another person or 2 people, the 2 gold, and then same thing for the 3 gold. If you want to put in more people than that, totally all about it. Just contact Justin and I, and we can figure out the best way to do that with you. But I know, yeah, Rand, I think it's Rusty here. Rusty, you're sharing your screen, by the way, so I just keep seeing this cellulite thing up in the top corner. I'm glad Bernie asked about that, because there you go. But hey, Rusty, at least it was an offer and not just like a website you'd be embarrassed by.
Any questions on Copy Accelerator? Feel free to post them in the chat. We will we'll do a little 10 minutes answering questions.
One thing Bernie did ask was if the dinners are in Austin. So just to clarify on that, it's 2 live events, kind of mastermind, in-person masterminds per year. So the first one is in Austin, September 9th through the 11th at the Fairmont. And then the next one will be probably in Las Vegas, because that's where I'm based. So we'll generally go back and forth between those 2 locations.
Yep. And the second one will be in March. If you can't make the live events for any reason, they're going to be recorded. And they'll be in the members site. So a couple of people already who are in the group can't make them, but honestly, if you were just on the weekly calls and couldn't make the live events, you'll get a ton out of the weekly calls in the Facebook group. That really not a big deal. Anybody has any questions about the group? Yeah, like I said, we would love to have you. Feel free to reach out to me or Stefan directly. Stefan, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so off the top of my head here. I'm down to, like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions. But, I just think it's a pretty big no-brainer. I think if it just looking at time, how much time, energy, money, and effort are you going to spend to hire and train copywriters and get them to a really high level? Or if you are a copywriter, how long is it going to take you to get there? And if you can just shortcut all of that and be producing better copy, better offers, better funnels in less time, which is what happens when you work with Justin and I, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. The ROI has just been there for so many people already, and including, again, high-level people, and not only have the network you build too, because again, everyone in there's a combined $1 billion plus of revenue in the people who are members of this mastermind. So, to me, it's just a big no-brainer.
Yep. All right. If there's no more questions, we will wrap this up. So if you're interested in joining the Copy Accelerator, the links are in the chat. Like I said, the offer is only good for all those bonuses until midnight Pacific time tonight. After that, the kickoff call is not available. So if you want to sign up, links. We'll post them here again. But appreciate everybody hopping on the call. Hope you got everything. Hope you got some good stuff out of it. Seemed like a lot of people were pretty happy with it.
Absolutely. Darren did ask what we're capping the group at. Yeah, so we had like a platinum component, which is essentially part 2 of the call where there's more in-depth feedback like on a live call. We capped that at around 20 people, and we're not really expecting to open that back up again. Honestly, if we do, it's not gonna be for a really long time. And at first I wondered, honestly, being completely transparent and authentic, I was like, oh no, well, this is before we launched it. And I was like, well, people still get that same level of value in gold. But because of the Facebook group and the fact that people are bringing in copy like constantly, it's really, we're able to provide an incredible amount of feedback to people and help them move the needle massively. And we do occasionally do an open frame where we'll do like a Q&A. So even then you can bring stuff you're working on to a call, even in the gold group. So I don't know what we're going to cap the gold group at, to be completely honest with you. The prices already went up once. Originally they were less and it was too cheap. And I don't know if the prices will go up more. There will be a place where if we feel like we're just full-time constantly on that Facebook group, or we, it gets unmanageable, we will cap gold. I'm not gonna give you guys like a bullshit scarcity because I don't know what that is yet. It's, it takes all of our time now, but I love it and it's so rewarding that I'm okay with it. But yeah, at some point, we may look at capping it.
All right. Like I said, yeah, if you have any questions on the Copy Accelerator program, feel free to follow up with Stefan or I directly. My email is justingoff@gmail.com. Stefan's putting his in the chat, just Stefan Paul Georgi at gmail.com. Yeah, if anybody else, if you got any questions, feel free to follow up. We'd love to work with you. And if you have a team, we would love to work with your team, get them dialed in so you don't have to be involved in every step of the way, writing your own copy and helping them out.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Have a good one.
All right.